this is real. This is real. We're getting our new Superman is officially David Corn Sweat and our Lois Lane is Rachel Brosnahan.
The Void Rivals.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I am so excited for where this goes. Oh, Kamala Khan's death in the comics. People think she's going to return, but with her powers be in the style of how they are in the MCU.
She is. It's going to happen. I'm telling you now, bro. It's going. It might look a little bit different. Maybe it's a combination of him beginning with the purple constructs, but make no mistake, she is now brown, purple, Green Lantern. I want to just say this about Zeb Wells and the current Spider-Man run. Objectively, I think they've done the impossible. Is that they have killed interest in Peter Parker, and I think that is very hard to do because the Peter Parker formula is just so intrinsic and relatable to so many people. So to succeed in making that not appealing, like, it's historic. That's historic. Shout out to Nick Lowe. Like, what is going on, guys? It is another episode of You Know Who I Am. I'm Zan.
I'm Oli.
And we
are
the
Invincibles.
Yeah, it's been a minute, guys. Sorry, like life, at least for me, has been hectic.
It's been busy.
I'm trying to get out of my place of work, I guess. Like, I don't want to be necessarily working where I have been, and so I've been trying to actively, so to speak, get a job into the writing field, because I mean, working in healthcare is cool, but it's just not what I want to do. And especially today, I sent you the Snapchat, hearing that all day. It's
I did not feel sorry for you. Sorry, I did feel sorry for you. I did not feel jealous of you at all.
Yeah, sometimes you need some noise canceling headphones at work, man. Yeah, I've just been trying to like write as much as I can, and get as prepared for episodes as I can, because it's just kind of tough loving what you wanted or having an idea for your life, and you just don't have enough hours in the day to do that. That's always annoying. But, that's what I've been on my plate, bro. Is just trying to get comic books and blog posts off the ground. So yeah. Of course, catching up on Spider-Man.
I'm excited for the world to hear your very, very, very good stories once you get the opportunity to. Because, by the way, stuff Zan has told me about his ideas for so many different characters are genuinely, this is not just blowing smoke up your ass because you're my best mate. Genuinely, it's one of the best comic book stories I've ever heard. Like, that's
which one?
How much do you want me to say?
Are you talking about Web of the Spiders? Or are you talking about the futuristic pirate one? Or are you talking about
both of those?
Okay.
Two of the best comic stories I think I've ever heard.
Thank you. I reworked the pirate one into something similar but a bit more different. There's a I'll explain it later. I guess, like, I appreciate the kind words, bro, but just one thing that I'm kind of learning through life, and this is to the audience as well, man, is you can be as talented as you want, but if you rest on your laurels, you're never going to get anywhere. You never want to be the person in the room who's like, well, actually, I have this, so that's why you want to listen to me. Like, you never want to be that person. And I feel like, coming from the world of, the STEM professions, right? Science, technology, engineering, math, whatever. There's this element of you gain respect because you have like a degree behind your name, right? You have, some sort of paper that validates whatever creative ideas or perspectives you might bring to the workplace. Well, in writing and podcasting and storytelling and creation, it's similar, but it's very much completely different, and you don't gain respect, you don't get the opportunities because you spent 3 years in writing school And now you gotta, it's more, you have to know people who give you a chance, whose vision aligns with the writing talents that you bring. So I appreciate the kind words, bro, but it's not enough to have neat ideas. There's so much more that goes into it, and I'm trying to navigate that, because there's a lot of people who think they can write the next great story, and I just want to be able to be in a position where I earn it. And yeah, that's pretty much where I was going with that. I just want to be able to earn my shot, and hopefully the stories that I like to tell, hopefully somebody likes them, and I get a profession in this.
Yeah. I'm confident that you'll get an opportunity to tell your stories. I think those stories are, they're better than, well, anything's better than the recent Spider-Man comics, but they are that type of quality. They are like the quality of like a major comic book publisher.
Thank you, man. I mean, professionally, so where I'm working right now, I'm probably going to be here for another couple of years. And where I work is great. It's just where I want to see my life go. It's just not it's not congruent with staying there long term. I work with great people. I work with a great organization, but it's just not writing. It's completely different. We're not working with stories. So in these next 2 years, I want to be able to get as much on my resume as possible. There's no reason why I can't have a comic book issue off the ground here in Cleveland. But I also think a lot of it is, when you put so much of your free time and your leisure time and the best of what you like into storytelling, and so storytelling and writing becomes that toyetic aspect for you. One thing that I've learned is when that becomes your life, right? When you write all the time and you work with characters all the time and you work with professionals all the time, very quickly you'll realize that that shine, that, oh my God, we're working with characters and story, that goes away fast, because now you're in this world. You no longer have that newbie eye, so to speak. The glamour has worn off, and now it's a job. Right now it's just I guess what I'm saying is, I might try to network with a comic book artist, and I have a specific vision and I love these characters so much, but for them, man, it's a job. Like, they got to do this to pay the bills. So that also affects the quality of your stories, because I feel like in most 9-to-5 jobs, it's okay to just do your job and leave. But for stories and for storytelling and comic books and, podcasting, the creative aspect of the world, it's not good enough to just skate by. That might be good enough for 9-to-5, but it's not enough to just skate by. It's not enough to just create a story just to pay a bill. Like,
that creative energy as well, it's not something you can just switch off at 5 p.m. Like, those ideas are constantly flowing throughout your head. Like, you might wake up in the middle of the night and you think, oh, this person should do this in the story, or this should happen to them, and you're like, you've got to write it down in your notes app. Like that's happening all the time. That's like, those creative juices are always flowing. Like, it doesn't just last for 8 hours a day.
Yeah, and that's, I think that's, I wish a lot of like older generation people, people who are, born in the boomer era, or, the 60s or whatever, I wish they realized that, that the amount of effort that you have to put in to the creative arts, it, in a lot of ways, it supersedes a lot of the top STEM jobs. Not necessarily in terms of responsibility and gravity, but in terms of just the amount of time you have to go in there and hone your craft over and over and over again. I just wish people understood that, because, for example, I have my psychology, I have my master's in psychology. I don't really care for it, though. I have my master's in writing, creative writing, right? And I'll be honest with you, and I'm not, throwing shots. I'm not, attacking people in a therapeutic way. I'm just being honest. A lot of people and proximity to me, right? People who live, in Cleveland, people who live close by, whatever. The people who I interact with daily, I guess is what I'm saying. Not everybody on the internet, like the people who I interact with daily, who I see frequently. A lot of them kind of don't really care that I'm a writer. It's like you're supposed to be a psychologist. Oh yeah, and that's cool. You got your writing. Good job. Good job, sport. Like that's the attitude, and it can be demoralizing. So that's just something I've been trying to work on as well. Is I guess like when you have dreams of like creative stuff, like you want to be a basketball player, you want to be a football player, you want to be a rapper, you want to be a singer, you want to be a writer, whatever. People expect you to be the person they see on TV, or you're a failure. But there's like hundreds of thousands of us.
Yeah, the percentage that you see on TV is just like 1% of the people who actually try and do that.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say that now before I shut up is, yeah, it might be dangerous, or not dangerous, but it might be risky, and you don't know what's gonna happen getting into the creative arts, right? Like I could have, like, bro, I'll tell you this right now. I was 6 months away from having 60,000 guaranteed for the rest of my life every year. Okay. And maybe it was a stupid financial decision, but I just didn't care enough about school psychology. I don't care enough about writing curriculum and helping your kid learn how to read. Like, I'm sorry. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just saying, like, I just don't care enough. Like storytelling. How do I touch the audience through my words, and how do I get them to make the world just a little bit hopeful through the fantasy and through the sci-fi that I bring through? They're trying to break through. Like that is what I want to do with my life, right? So I ended up leaving there. Now I work, where I work now, and on the side, I write, and I got my degree. And to anybody, especially South Asian, who want to go into the arts, and there's this element of you don't know what's going to happen. Everybody's going to think you're a failure. They're going to think you're a failure anyway. Because let's say you become a comic book writer. Oh, well, you're not writing, Euphoria, and you might get in that position, and it's like, oh, well, you're not writing Spider-Man, and then you might get the job for Spider-Man. Oh, well, the movie wasn't even that great anyway. So you will never win in that toxic atmosphere, So just kind of having a plan for yourself. If you're South Asian, man, just understand that this is a lonely path, but that's what you're signed up for, and it's rewarding.
What makes it such a, although it is daunting, the prospect of taking it on, the thrill of thinking, if I do make it, that drives you, because if it does pay off and you do get to the highest level, you're set, aren't you?
It depends, because even like, bro, like in the comic book industry too, right? Like Matt Fraction didn't really get paid any residuals or royalties for Hawkeye, and yet he was the writer. Yeah, he was the writer. He was the lead storyboard. Like that comic book run happened because of him. The branding, the color scheming, the poses, the suit, that was all him, and he didn't see any of it. So,
that's disappointing.
So like, I mean, but I guess, from a legacy perspective, yeah, like it's what's more rewarding than that, like your work, people can watch it. But I think that also kind of, and I'm not saying you're doing this, but I think a lot of people get into the comic book industry thinking that this is my way into movies.
Yeah.
And it's like that the craft is the same, sure. Like how you storyboard, sure. The genres and the mediums of storytelling tend to, overshadow the same genre as if you were to do a Venn diagram. So it's a natural, it's a natural marriage. But the point of comic books is to visually affect you and to visually tell a story with as little words and explanations as possible. It's a purely emotional and visual medium. So whenever people approach the panel or the page with just a bunch of exposition and toyetic elements and crazy powers and not really those character beats. Like, to give an example, the final page of Spectacular Spider-Man by J.M. DeMatteis, right? There's no dialogue. It's just Harry dies, Peter walks out of the ambulance, Harry Osborn's wife is crying, Peter puts his hand on his face, and then the final panel is Harry, Peter, and MJ like at a picnic. It's a picture of them and they're all happy and they're smiling. That's it. There's no dialogue. And yet those 6 pages, you're like, that emotionally, that stings, right? Like, I feel like a lot of people are like, I'm gonna fit 40 words on this panel and I'm gonna explain my story, and because it's comic books it works, and that's not how the medium works. That's not how it works. People actually need to study how that works. That's why I try to learn as much as I can.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know where that came from. That was
No, that was good. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, man. I mean,
speaking of comics, I went to Forbidden Planet in Liverpool the other day, which is like my sort of local go-to comic book shop, and they have like, you know, a box for me whenever the comics on my list come in. They put them in this box and keep them to one side for me. Because of multiple work trips and moving house and stuff like that, I haven't had time to go in since like I think either January or February. So that like 5 months, and they're meant to put the issues back on the shelf after 5 weeks. I hadn't been in 5 months, and they still had all my issues.
Oh, that's sick.
I'm pretty sure I'm the only person who still does that in that store. Everyone else just orders them online. So I hadn't seen them in like almost half a year. I walk in and like, oh, have I got any comics to pick up? And like they knew my name. They're like, they haven't seen me 6 months. Like, oh yeah, you're Oliver Johnson. And I was like, oh yeah.
See, like with me, I'm not gonna lie. Like, Kid Force Collectibles is a shop right where I used to go to high school, and it's like 25 minutes from where I live through the highway. But I stopped going there because I like had a bunch of orders for comic books, and 1 month became 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going back. Like, I was embarrassed, you know. And they put everything back anyway, so it's fine. But I would argue they are the best comic book store in Cleveland. They got collectibles, posters. It's a fun vibe. I'm not dissing anybody, but sometimes comic book fans can be a bit incelish and just a bit very socially awkward.
Just
like,
a bit.
Like, I remember like this one time I was like, I was talking to one of my like friends, and we're talking about the Transformers movie. They had a Transformer action figure, and I was like, yo, like, that's Megatron. When I tell you, bro, like the comic book owner, and I'm not dissing him, but like, let's just keeping honest, the visuals, like, 5'3", very overweight, high-pitched voice, greasy shirt. He was literally that stereotype verbatim. And he's like, actually, that Starscream from the 87 cartoon show, like, that's actually not accurate. So yeah, that's not Megatron. Just saying. And then he like went away. I'm like, I don't care. I'm just talking. Like, sure.
That reminds me of the guy we saw in Chicago. The guy at that comic book shop. We were chatting to that lad about who would win the fight. Was it Omni-Man or
the owner.
Superman? He's like, oh, I could write Snoopy to beat Superman if I wanted to. Like, yeah, you can write whoever you want to beat whoever you want, but that's not what we were talking about.
And I think the point of good writing is that you kind of answer those impossible what if questions that we can't get the answers to in real life. So when people say, oh, well, it's whoever I want. Yeah, well, that's not fun and that's not engaging. And
exactly.
I think a big part of those conversations is the mental stimulation. So to say, it's who I want to write. Well, thanks, Grandpa. Like, it's there's just so much, like, from a career perspective, bro. Like, I would love to write Amazing Spider-Man. I'm not saying I'd be better than any of the other writers that are there currently. Like Zeb Wells, Dan Slott, whoever, Nick Spencer, whoever, like Cody Ziegler, although he's with Miles, Jim DeMatteis writing the recent from last year, the Ben Reilly 5-issue run. There's Chip Zdarsky, he writes Spider-Man Excellent.
Chip Zdarsky's phenomenal.
All of them, bro, are award-winning writers, Eisner nominating writers who have written stuff for TV.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to just say this about Zeb Wells in the current Spider-Man run. Objectively, I think they've done the impossible, is that they have killed interest in Peter Parker. And I think that is very hard to do. It is very hard to do because the Peter Parker formula is just so intrinsic and relatable to so many people. So to succeed in making that not appealing, like, it's historic. That's historic. Shout out to Nick Lowe. Like, I just,
impressive.
I don't want to be disrespectful and potentially cut ties, but I'm just saying objectively, like, as a writer, how I want to approach writing and storytelling, and is I want the characters to feel like living, breathing people that you genuinely don't want anything bad happening to. I don't want them to be memes. And when you have Peter screaming, "Vulture is going to kill me, please help me," meanwhile, Miles can create a Venom lightsaber with his bioelectric powers and shape it like a lightsaber and, fight villains and fight Carnage. Now he has his own nanotech Carnage suit, like, Iron Spider suit, to fight Carnage. They have succeeded in making Peter the lesser Spider-Man. And it's sad because, to me, it's really not that hard to make Peter Parker a winning formula while still staying in the parameters of never getting with MJ and having him suffer. And I think it's really, really simple. One, you do what I said in the previous episode, which is make Peter Parker a freelance travel photographer, blogger, and he's traveling the world, reviewing places, staying at, and while the small towns he's in, he notices new villains, small-time villains, but villains that are, freshen up the Spider-Man gallery, and he interacts with them and fights them, blah, blah, blah. And that way you kind of have that Invincible, every comic book is really a scene of a greater story type of feel. That's what I love about Robert Kirkman's each issue in Invincible. It feels like one memorable scene of a much bigger novel. And
no two issues feel the same ever,
and they don't feel pointless. You never flip through the pages and go like, you know what I mean? Like, you're not you're not doom scrolling, you're not mindless with it. Like, but with Amazing Spider-Man, like, bro, it's been 3-4 months. I haven't read Amazing Spider-Man. The only stuff that I know is what's on Twitter. So maybe my opinion is biased, but to me, it's hard to get behind a Spider-Man brand that is just so intrinsically anti-Peter Parker. I just can't do it. So that's one way I would do it too. Honestly, I would just kill Peter Parker at this point. Like make his death mean something, make it memorable or something like that. But fans would still be mad. I don't know. Or, you get a new editor, and as much as I don't want to call for people losing their jobs, I do think it's the best time to get some new blood in there, and
it just needs a massive refresh. Like, I think just refresh the whole thing.
New villains, audience, do you think Norman Osborn is going to betray Peter Parker in this new run where he's good? You think it's going to happen? Yeah. Thank you. Yes. Norman Osborn is going to betray him. And at what point do we realize, rehashing the new villains is literally just remaking the old storylines that new audiences do not want to read because the artwork is older and the dialogue is a bit dated? That's really what it is. Like, nobody wants to read the old comic books, so you're going to kill the comic book medium by creating crappy comic books that are just pale imitations of the original stories that people don't want to read because they're older.
Yeah.
It's like people refusing to watch the old Star Wars movies because they're older. They don't have all the the new tech in them and you know the production
CGI.
value wise.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then you kill the medium. So that's why I really feel like Image Comics is the way to go.
Oh, yes.
That is like, bro, if I was to ever, like, that is my goal, is to have a title on Image Comics. You know, that is the goal. That is my dream career.
On that, I think I've got my latest comic from Image here that I'd like to give a shout out to on this episode. Void Rivals.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I am so excited for where this goes.
So don't talk about it. Talk about it. Give
right.
your.
So this is why Image is the best. So Robert Kirkman, Lorenzo De Felici, who is a phenomenal artist. He worked with Kirkman. He's worked with him multiple times. He's also written his own comics as well. But he worked with Kirkman on Oblivion Song, which is excellent. But so Void Rivals is the start of the Energon universe, which is a combined universe with Transformers and G.I. Joe. There's going to be a new run of like G.I. Joe comics starting from #1, a new run of Transformers comics starting from #1. But Void Rivals starts off with these two these two people landing on this planet. I've only read the issue once. It looks like Mars. I don't know if they say whether it's Mars or whatever. But these two futuristic-looking people from like they're meant to be from like opposing races or opposing societies or something, and they're stuck on this planet together, and they discover a transformer. Again, I can't remember the name. I can't remember the guy's name, but he's like an iconic sort of looking transformer. And then he discovers they wake this transformer up, and he finds out he's been stuck there for like thousands of years or millions of years or whatever. And then he goes off to find the other transformers because they were in a war when he last left or something like that. But what's really exciting about it is you don't need any prior knowledge of Transformers to get into it, which is quite good. And it's going to get a lot of attention, obviously, because of the nostalgia. It looks like the classic designs of all the characters, but it's not just sort of nostalgia bait, basically, because Kirkman grew up being a huge Transformers and G.I. Joe fan, and he, we know from all his previous work how good of a writer he is, and that's stuff he created himself. But the fact he's getting to write the stuff he grew up with, he's going to put so much care and passion into that. You just know it's going to be good. And so that was something I saw people talking about it on Twitter. I went to pick up my batch of comics that had been left there for ages, grabbed a few variants of it as well, and I had no idea what it was about. I hadn't read into it. I didn't have time to read up on it before I bought it, and then I went watching the new Transformers movie.
Oh yeah, bro.
Spoilers, by the way, it's great. It's really, really enjoyed it. Not, it's not amazing, but it's just fun. It's just a really fun film. At the end of that, it gets revealed that like G.I. Joe exists in this Transformers universe. So I saw that. I saw they're doing a shared universe in the film. Then I go home, read the first issue of Void Rivals. I'm like, oh shit, they're in a shared universe in the comics as well. What are the chances of
that? So brand synergy.
Yeah, so they've released it at a perfect time. It's not connected. I don't think it's connected to the film. I'm pretty sure it's not connected to the films in any way. But they've just released it at the perfect time to capitalize on that interest.
So, okay, so let me ask you this question, man. This is talking about the state of comics. What is the difference? And this is devil's advocate. Obviously, it's hugely different. I love your breakdowns, so I'm going to ask it to you. What is the difference from Void Rivals, their Energon universe having this brand synergy from the comics, and then Paramount, right, owns Transformers?
Yes, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
So, actually, it might be that's turned into Amazon Studios now, I think.
Okay, so Amazon and Image also, Image retains, or Image does not own the intellectual rights to these characters, right?
Hasbro.
Okay, so Hasbro and Amazon are working with Robert Kirkman, not directly, but maybe the head honchos at Image are like, hey, the movies are doing this, can you do this? So would you agree that's brand synergy?
I think so. Yeah, absolutely. Because I think that the first issue came out. It came out literally the exact same week as the film.
So then,
sure.
what is that a problem? Is brand synergy between movies and comics, transmodal medium, is that a problem? And is it, if it is or isn't, can you also speak on how the MCU and Marvel Comics, or the MCU is actively affecting Marvel Comics with brand synergy? Specifically, the latest example, Kamala Khan being like from Inhuman to Mutant. Spoiler alert, it's all over the internet. She died because she's getting her MCU powers. She didn't actually die. So like, how would you?
So I've got a few thoughts on this. So, it's input brand synergy is important, but it's also important that the comics don't sort of replicate what people have just seen in the films. So, like, say someone has never picked up a Marvel comic before, they watch a Marvel film and they're like, "Oh, I want to, you know, I want to get into this a bit." They pick up a comic and it's just the same stories as seen in the films. So you've got to have, that's not very good. So you've got to have some sort of synergy so that it's familiar to people who are coming in for the first time, so that they're welcomed into it, but not too much that it's just more of the same as from what we've seen in the films. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But it's also got to be not too different so that it throws them off, because like, oh, I've got no idea what's going on. Another thing as well, what I think might be more important is just the film universe and sort of the people making the films publicly acknowledging that the comics actually exist, because the MCU doesn't even, obviously the titles Infinity War, Secret Wars, and that from the film titles, some of them they recognize, they pick that, that's a little nod to the comics, but you never hear them in public talking about anything from the comics, like, ever really. All you see is like a backstage, behind the scenes photo of someone sat in the chair on set reading a comic. That's probably the most you'll see. You
And
don't.
that's good enough for audiences. Like, you'll see,
Mhm.
somebody just holding and suddenly that means they're the greatest casting ever, and they understand the character.
Exactly. Imagine if the people making the films, Kevin Feige, for example, if he took a leaf out of James Gunn's book and said, this film is going to, take ideas from this storyline in this comic, whilst you're waiting for this film, go and read this. I think, in a way, maybe the MCU's got a responsibility to keep interest in the comics going, because, you know, people, the films are obviously way more accessible than the comic books. People will come to the films and then they'll go to the comic books after. So if they do it right, but if they don't acknowledge that the comic books exist, and they don't acknowledge that they're taking inspiration from certain parts, like, wasn't the director of Secret Invasion told not to read any Secret Invasion comic books?
Yes. Yep.
Like,
But I
we'll
think
see.
also,
We'll
to
see if
be
that
fair,
pays off. But like, I don't know.
the original Secret Invasion storyline wasn't really that great anyway.
Okay.
So I could kind of see why they maybe get a general consensus. But I mean, even in the comics currently, one of the main Skrulls dissed the original Secret Wars. He said the Skrulls took over the Earth, and you know what we did? We had a battle in Central Park. Like, so even they themselves were like, yeah, it could have been better. So, unless I'm mistaken, but I don't know. I think like a big thing why I am kind of scared about brand synergy, and I'm just going to throw it back to you, is because I think it limits the type of stories we are allowed to consume. It's not a secret that Marvel and the MCU is it's teen oriented. They're not deep. They're not, sorry to say, sophisticated. They're not right now anyway. They're not they're pumped out. They're not crafted.
Yeah.
You know, James Gunn himself said third acts in superhero movies now are boring. And to be fair, I don't know why he's talking. The Flash, that's his movie, but that's the other here or there. Maybe he was forced to say that. But
yeah, I think he was.
You know, I think that, you know, a lot of superheroes, the best superheroes are the superheroes that connect with the community that they're kind of around. And I feel like a lot of it has been missed now in favor of trying to build an IP and a cinematic universe and toyetic characters and cool new superpowers and visuals. And it's a lot of the flash, but none of the substance. And ironically, The Flash is a movie that just has a lot of flash, bad CGI flash at that. But
I've still not seen it.
Yeah, it's not great. I haven't seen it either. I'm not going to.
I saw someone posted the entire film on Twitter, and nearly 2 million people saw it.
I retweeted it, and then the tweet got deleted. But yeah, it was camera rip. But I guess what I'm saying is, when you have the MCU and they're not sophisticated, and they're very pumped out, they're very generic, the same comedic beats, the same kind of character archetype, just replace the powers and the backstory, still the same vibe. And you're having a brand synergy about it, then if we aren't happy with the movies for doing that, and there's a brand synergy, it's only logical to assume the same thing will be happening to the comics. And at least for me, the only reason I got into the MCU was because of the comics. So if the comics are going to be lackluster in quality, then there runs the risk of me just kind of being bored with the Marvel brand entirely. You know, if you want to make your mid movies, go ahead. I'm not going to be toxic. As bad as Marvel is, it's still better than anything DC is doing objectively. It just is. So like, well,
but now
across the spot. Yeah. I mean, because the Batman came out, right? But then, you know, Marvel, well, that's more Sony, but Marvel / Sony made Across the Spider-Verse, which I think is much better than the Batman. So they're completely different movies, but I think in terms of what they do for the character, I just think Across the Spider-Verse is just so much better. But no disrespect to the Batman, because the Batman was my favorite superhero movie until Across the Spider-Verse. So I don't know. I think that's what kind of scares me, is the stuff that it's like a self-perpetuating cycle if you think about it, because we are excited for these new movies and these new TV shows on Disney Plus because of what was in the comics. And it wasn't specific character beats or story beats that got us excited, but necessarily how they resonated in you, and to see that care of storytelling be implemented into the live action adaptation with the same beats that we saw. So the stuff like Captain America lifting a hammer, saying that in live action while having the same emotional beats behind it, that is what gets people excited. So then when you have a show like Moon Knight or Miss Marvel, and it has very little of the stuff that we were even excited for to begin with, all you share is the name, but you don't share the spirit. So instead of fixing that issue, now you're going to try to change the spirit of the comics? How does that make sense? Your current product does not have substance. So to make things consistent, you are also going to get rid of substance and the thing that is better.
That reminds me of a theory I saw
No
about Kamala Khan's death in the comics. People think she's going to return, but with her powers be in the style of how they are in the MCU.
She is. It's going to happen. I'm telling you now, bro. It's going. It might look a little bit different. Maybe it's a combination of embiggening with the purple constructs, But make no mistake, she is now brown, purple, Green Lantern, or universe. Like, make no mistake. Like, I'm telling you, from a business is a part of the comic book industry. Marvel has just screwed DC by using the Kamala Khan character to kill any competition with the Green Lantern brand because they look so identical. I'm telling you this right now. I'm telling you, that's why they did this. DC was sitting on Green Lantern for such a long time, and Marvel said, we're just going to do that, but better. And we have diversity in it. Yes, please. I'm
all the boxes.
Because what can Green Lantern do now in terms of constructs that Miss Marvel can't, and not deal with the toxic fanboys who keep comparing them?
Yeah.
This is business. This is business. Kamala Khan's character and her powers being regressed, it's business.
I've never really thought of it like that, but that makes a lot of sense.
That's why I have a problem with brand synergy, because they are killing creative storytelling for business decisions, and I just can't rock with that. Sorry, I'm allergic to BS like this. So.
I have mentioned about the same previous episodes, but I do love how honest James Gunn is being about like the comics they're taking inspiration from. He's not saying like it's got to be a direct adaptation of this, but he's saying like, this is where the idea came from. Go and read it. Just the fact he's saying go and read the comics, that supports the comics, because the sales aren't what they used to be.
Yeah.
Which but so I think that people making the films have a responsibility to direct people to the source material.
And I think it's also smart business. Like, again, business. Because if people doubt the quality of these new DC films that you're, going to be putting out because of past stinkers, right? Like, in my opinion, Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman, I think the only decent Zack Snyder DC movie is Justice League. Honestly, like, I'm not going to hate on Justice League. I think that's pretty good. Like, I would rewatch Justice League, but Batman versus Superman, hell no. Man of Steel, double hell no. Like, like no way, ain't no way. But like, Justice League, sure, I'll watch some. That Flash scene was pretty dope. So yeah, I'll watch Justice League again. But I think that it's smart, because those brands, whether you like them or hate them, the majority is a very tiny vocal minority of the general population that consumes these superhero products actually care about the Zack Snyderverse. And majority of people, because those movies were so artistically crafted to one specific type of audience, right? Everybody else is like, this is trash. And when you do them for universal characters like Superman and Batman, it Wonder Woman should be there, but there is misogyny and sexism there. So because people are so prone to dislike her on those factors, any criticism thrown her way largely can be thrown out, because it's not coming from a place of actual helpful criticism. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But with Superman and Batman, fans will be toxic and they'll be honest. And universally, nobody really liked Henry Cavill's Superman. Instagram likes do not convert to business. Henry Cavill can get 5 million likes on his Instagram posts. He's back as Superman and generate zero money, which is what happened.
Yeah.
That's what happened. Generated no money, bro. I'm not hating on you. I think you're a great Superman. Zack Snyder failed you with the, mental illness Superman. Bro had so much. I'm not even dissing mental illness. Like, I'm just saying, like, bro literally resembled none of what Superman is supposed to be. Was depressed all day, never smiled all day, was contemplating if humanity should be good at one point, saying nobody stays good in this world. Like, what is this trash, bro? What is this trash? And I understand people say, oh, you're just looking at the character beat, the story beat. You're not looking at the entire vision. So was the entire vision of Zack Snyder's Justice League for Superman to be completely out of character for 4 out of 5 movies, and in the 5th movie he's a character that we all know and love, and that's supposed to be good enough for the other 8 hours of content that you have created that is completely antithetical to what we're supposed to end up with. That is supposed to be the great vision for Superman. How is that a smart business model? So to go back to what you were saying about James Gunn, to those who are unhappy with that and don't know what to expect from these new movies, you get a 2-win. You get a win scenario, right? You get people going to check out these new comics and boosting sales, also helping other writers and artists get more jobs, right? Awesome. 2, people having, I kind of said it, but people already have like a, if they don't know what your movie's about now, they'll have an idea. 2, you help you help literacy go up. Fact of the matter is we need kids to read. Boom. You get more kids to read, you get more young adults to read, you get more people to read, more people will be able to get off their phones and get on the page. That's good for humanity as well. So absolutely not. So I think it's beneficial from a business perspective. It gives the audience an idea of what to expect, gets us off technology a bit. But I think most importantly, I'm kind of scared that this might kind of pigeonhole the ability to take risks. Right, like Across the Spider-Verse is a very risky movie, and it paid off because of the risks and the decisions that they put in that film. Right, for example, Prowler ending. If that ending, which it hasn't been, in any other Miles story, and Marvel kind of did the James Gunn route of like, this is from this issue, check this out, knowing Spider-Man fans in the way they are, people would say, oh well, that ending wasn't there, so that's stupid and that's edgy and blah blah blah. And I don't. Especially when it's earned, I think that's not fair. If the character has earned that awesome ending, like I just don't want people to get pigeonholed that because it's from these 4 or 5 comic book runs, this movie has to be, that's all it can be. That's my only fear of that. Let me ask you this, since we're on the topic of pigeonhole, how does 2 Batman and 2 Bat franchises do any good? Like, as inept as Sony is, they are smart enough to know that having 2 live-action competing Spider-Man franchises is an awful, awful, awful idea.
Well,
why would you do that for 2 Batman?
I don't understand it. Like, Sony are doing the right thing, having their Spider-Man, their big box office Spider-Man being animated. But DC can't really go down that route because Batman already exists. So I think I've mentioned this before. One way they could do that, have 2 live action Batmans and make it sort of okay, is really emphasize the sort of, make them Black Label films, DC Black Label, like they do with the comics. Just say this is a completely separate thing. These stories are going to be darker. These standalone stories, they aren't connected. This is the Batman in this universe, in this connected universe. These Black Label ones are a completely separate thing. I think if they just really emphasize that this is a darker tone set of films, then maybe it'd work like that, rather than having 2 opposing sort of cinematic universe type things.
So then they should not trying to diss Matt Reeves at all. I love his Batman, but they should have, Warner Brothers should have never given him his own trilogy then. Because if you get what I'm saying, because if the plan was to create a cinematic universe Batman, and you have one Batman franchise that could or could not be, essentially you're putting Matt Reeves in a flux where his franchise could go somewhere, it could not go somewhere. Why would you do that to him? Like, this just reeks of Warner Brothers ineptitude, man. Like, cause if you have 2 competing Batman, listen, the general audience is stupid, okay? They're stupid. You got people who think Tom Holland is the son of Tobey Maguire, and that's why he's Spider-Man. Like, most people can't understand the complexities and how serious a lot of the comic book tropes are, right? Like reboots and multiverses. It's very overstimulating for them, for lack of a better term, right? And especially if you've watched boxing movies your whole life and just, watch regular drama your whole life, all of that stuff is just a complete turnoff, like what is this? So one, you're going to be confusing the general audience, right, with two separate Batman. Two, you, in a way, you're enabling haters. Because if you don't like one version of the Batman, you're just going to go to another.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I know that's inevitable with anything. Like, I get that. But, I mean, that's kind of why they're not doing Amazing Spider-Man 3, right? That Sony isn't trying to hear how he's so much better than Iron Boy Jr.
Yeah.
They're not trying to see that in the comics. Tom is their live-action Spider-Man. He is the investment. DC, who was your investment in Batman? I honestly think, hear me out, Terry McGinnis should be Batman in the DCU. Batman Beyond should be the Batman of the Justice League.
That's a very good way to distinguish it from Pattinson.
And here's another way, right? One, like I said, business. Now you have something that competes with Spider-Man 2099.
Mm-hmm.
Business.
Yeah.
Right? Second, it changes it up. You get if your story is predictable and it's the same thing, same Bruce Wayne, same whatever, it's going to be boring. It's boring. It does not reek of creativity. Okay. And I want to be clear. I know right now the audience, everybody is saying that, they already confirmed that it's going to focus on the Bat family. Then this is definitely an opportunity to do something completely new. Like, I don't think, sometimes we forget that comics and movies are an opportunity to go into the unknown and to create new stuff. And what's better than to have a Terry McGinnis learning from the old mistakes and the old battles of the Bat family. So, for example, we establish in canon, at least I do, that Bruce Wayne is older than Clark Kent. That I've always kind of established that. Like, Bruce Wayne tends to be a lot older than Clark Kent, very similar in age. Okay, how Bruce sees the world would make sense in a world without a Superman.
Mm-hmm.
How Superman views the world makes sense because he was raised by Ma and Pa Kent. Not Snyder Ma and Pa Kent, but like actual Ma and Pa Kent, right? So Superman coming into the world being super hopeful wouldn't make sense because he's younger, he has more optimism, he has all those powers, everything that was void of the world when Batman was still a superhero.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it would make sense to have Bruce Wayne be a lot older than David Corn Sweat Superman in the DCU. Just like, that's how I set that character-wise. Now, Terry McGinnis should be the Batman in the DCU and wanting to change stuff up. Two, because you could establish a Batman in the 60s, in the 70s, actually doing Batman stuff. I think that'd be cool. You could have a Bruce Wayne in a different time era, a Bruce Wayne in a timepiece era that now distinctly differentiates him from every other version of Bruce Wayne in live action.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, that was a cool way to differentiate the Bruce Wayne character. Now, Terry McGinnis is different. He's new. He's fresh. He has an awesome suit. And, not a lot of people in live action know him. Him being the Justice League version of Batman, you're intrigued. You get what I'm saying? Like, why do we need to tune into this? How has he earned it? Now you got people coming in, and now you don't have competing, characters who are the same competing against each other.
Also, the studio execs are likely to love that because imagine the dollar signs, the toy sales, and
if you want to do, like I said, Bat family, and you want to do Damian Wayne, who is Batman? Is it Bruce Wayne? Like that could be a part of the story, right? Like, who earns the right to be Batman? Because I'm Damian Wayne, I'm his oldest son, or I'm his biological son. Oh, well, I'm, Dick Grayson. I'm his most experienced son. I'm Batman. I've been Batman in the past. Jason Todd. Oh, I'm willing to kill people. Tim Drake. I'm smart enough. I can break stuff down. Stephanie Brown. Why can't I think of her name? I'm like having a massive brain fart. People are gonna hate me. Jim Gordon's daughter.
Barbara.
Barbara Gordon, yeah, you could have Barbara, talking, like saying I'm Oracle, I'm the brains behind it. You could have Cassandra Cain.
Mhm.
All of these established Bat lore characters, not Lucius Fox, but his son, I forget his name, Tom Fox, or I forget his name, but
Is that it?
in the title, I am Batman. Jace Fox. I am Batman. You have Black Batman. So you have all of these people vying for the role of Batman after Bruce retires, but Bruce picks Terry McGinnis, Batman Beyond, to be the next Batman. And that irks all of the previous Robins, everybody else surrounding him, maybe Alfred, maybe they're like, why would you pick Terry McGinnis? He's a nobody. He's just some kid on the street. Like, and then Bruce could be like, well, weren't you all that at one point? So I think purely from a place of making the franchise fresh and putting characters in places they've never been before and creating drama that would be enticing for audiences to watch over and over and over again, making Terry McGinnis Batman and the surprise and the sheer shock of Terry McGinnis being the DCU Batman would create so much new story arcs for the Court of Owls, for Death of the Family, for the Bat family.
Mm-hmm.
You just completely change it up and you create a new Bat figure.
Yeah.
You create a new Bat figure. And also, just being blunt, most people, if you have Jace Fox be Batman or have Bruce Wayne be Black or whatever, you're going to have too much people who are going to be upset. You're going to have too much racists who are going to be virtue signal, blah, 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 blah. But if you do Terry McGinnis and he's Asian, you get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what are you going to say now? There's no virtue signaling here. There's no pandering to the Black agenda here. You're just a racist. You can avoid all of that. And I'm always in favor of putting more Black characters and stuff, maybe, but I think for this case, because of Batman, because of how toxic the fans are. Hey, what's up? No, you're good.
Oh, you don't film it?
No.
Oh, am I in the background of the... Oh.
Yeah, you're in the recording.
Yeah. Hey, what's going on?
Oh, get ready in the bathroom.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we got to keep that. But no, I think Terry McGinnis being, Batman Beyond, being the DCU's version of Batman and having him interact with Superman, I think that freshens stuff up, bro. That changes stuff up. It isn't comic book accurate, but god dang it, like do we want to rehash of everything? I'm a fan of that. Make Terry McGinnis Batman Beyond, the DCU Batman.
And because we've had so many reboots of Batman in the past 11 years alone, there's been 3 different Batmans. It gets general audiences, gets them reinterested in seeing Batman, because someone might say to them, oh, there's a different person, Batman, it's not Bruce Wayne. They'll go and watch it. They'll get interested in the character again. They'll be like, even though we've had 4 different versions of him in the past just over a decade, they've, like you said, they've freshened it up. It gets the general audience interested in actually going to watch a Batman film again.
And I've never seen Terry interact with Damian. I mean, in the comics, sure, but I'm just saying, or how would Terry McGinnis have an interaction with Jason Todd, the guy who was actually killed by the Joker? Like, how would Terry McGinnis interact with Nightwing, Alfred? Like, Terry is such a fresh character, and he's so underrated. He's one of my favorite Batman characters ever, so maybe I'm a little bit biased. But yeah, having Terry McGinnis as Batman, as a DCU Batman, that solves the Batman problem, and it doesn't kill competition, or it doesn't create competition with Robert Pattinson's Batman. You get your comic book accurate Batman and Robert Pattinson. You get your noir stories and Robert Pattinson, and you get something fresh, new, never seen before, and exclusive to movies only with Terry McGinnis as Batman. And the only thing that I don't really know how they could work around is how you make Gotham. Like, do you have flying cars? Do you have nanites like they did in the cartoon? I mean, that stuff, it's like, okay, we don't, if it's going to be in modern day, how are we looking at it? But I mean, there are some super technologically advanced places here that look like sci-fi. So they could work it. They could make it work if they really wanted to. And maybe they show that Gotham City is super technologically advanced and crime there is especially bad, which is why they need a Batman Beyond. So maybe make it if Wakanda was in Brooklyn, like something like that.
I was just thinking that make the tech sort of Wakandan-esque.
Yeah, and make it like a New York City, Brooklyn vibe, have like high rollers and stuff, all of that, like, and flying cars. You could really make it work, man, because at the end of the day, we're talking about a Batman suit that fits like latex and has a mouth, and that's super unrealistic, and yet we can't get flying cars of the modern era. Like, have fun with it. Have that spark in it. My reaction to Batman Beyond being in the Justice League and Batman Beyond being the DCU Batman would go so, because it's fresh. You never see it before. You could only do Bruce Wayne for so long, man. And in terms of Bruce Wayne, you could, maybe bring back Michael Keaton, as Bruce Wayne, unless I don't know, maybe he doesn't want to because he already came back, so that'd be redundant to come back again. Maybe an older Christian Bale.
Oh yeah, that's a shout.
So so obviously not the same Nolan versus Batman. You get what I'm saying? But just a throwback to he used to be a Batman in the 60s or whatever, and I don't know, man. There's a lot that they could do.
Oh
and,
yeah.
In terms of the main villain, I want them to, like, use ink. She's a fantastic villain. The point is James Gunn has an opportunity to not just recreate history, but to rebrand history, to make something new, and really think this is it. Batman Beyond as Batman solves the problem.
With it, I'm already excited more for the future of DC than I have been ever with the DC films, but that would just take it to another level. Like, absolutely. Like, just
like Batman Beyond.
Yeah, like the Batman Beyond TV show, like the cartoon back in the day. I just remember watching that and being like, wow, this is the coolest thing ever.
Imagine a Batman Beyond Return of the Joker in the DCU.
Oh wow! Who would you have play the Joker?
Anybody, it doesn't matter. Maybe somebody who you would never expect to be the Joker, because if this is a different Batman, different role, different vibe, let's get a different Joker.
I really like the idea that was floated around with the Joker movie, where there's this first Joker, and then people just get inspired by him. Maybe every few years, every 5-10 years, someone gets inspired by him, by his antics in the past, and replicates what he did, goes and kills someone on TV or stuff like that, goes on a little killing spree, and it's something Batman has to deal with, every so often. I think something like that would be pretty cool because it's different.
Whatever they do with the Joker, they need to show that Terry McGinnis is the one Batman that Joker hates. Because Batman is silent and brooding versus Terry talks trash.
Yeah.
he will bully you with his words. He will belittle you with his words, and Joker hates that. So I would love to see a verbal, like, in the movie where Terry's like, you fell into a vat of acid and you couldn't get a job as a party clown. You had to rob banks. Like, what's wrong with you? And Joker got so mad. He was like, don't you dare laugh at me. Like, you're the fake Batman, and also just selfishly, I would love to see, somebody Asian play Batman. I think because like Asian men, both either East Asian or South Asian like myself, were not as seen as masculine or as dominant or as kick-ass, for lack of a better term, as say Latino men or black men or white men. So to have an Asian Batman kick ass, I'd love that. I know some people will say, oh, diversity, blah, blah, blah. Everything we watch and everything we consume is inherently political. So if we can do some good with it, why not?
So this has been a fun episode. It's been sort of just a bit of a conversation. We've seen where it's gone, and I've quite enjoyed it. Before we wrap things up, we've got a few little more things to talk about. Zan, you went to Monday Night Raw a couple of weeks ago in Cleveland. How was it?
Yeah, so it was, first of all, it was phenomenal. I want to say the crowd made it. The crowd made it. The crowd was electric, was insanely loud. It felt like one of those British soccer games, like in the Premier League. Like they were, the crowd was in it. Every wrestler's song, every lyric, the Seth Rollins, whoa. I mean, while the Judgment Day was cutting a promo, we were singing that. like to the point where in my video my voice cracked. I'm like, I kept going on for 3 minutes. I couldn't keep doing it. Like, so I think that the crowd seriously made the venue. Going into the show, I wasn't excited, however, because the card to me wasn't anything special. So like Judgment Day, okay, great. They're gonna beef with Cody, probably slap, Ray, Maria's mommy, Dominic is hated by the crowd. We get it. Rinse, repeat over. There wasn't a lot of engagement with the Judgment Day currently in storylines. Now it's heating up, but a couple weeks ago when they announced it, I was like, whatever. I was not trying to see Dana Brooke and Raquel Gonzalez wrestle. Like, and I want to be clear. I feel bad about the Dana Brooke hate online. Like it's getting to the point where it's like, bro, like she's just trying to do her job. But with all due respect, if I pay $200 a ticket, I'm not trying to see Dana Brooke wrestle. That's all I'm gonna say. Maybe if
she's not who you pay to see, is she?
Yeah, like I hope she becomes that though. I hope she, works on that, because I don't want her to get fired. Like,
no,
I'm not trying to call for anybody to lose their job, but she's just not entertaining. I'm sorry, but she's just not entertaining. But yeah, I'm not trying to see Dana Brooke. I'm not trying to see Raquel Gonzalez when her whole shtick is just showing her back. Like, we get it, you're strong, but you're not mommy strong. You're not Rhea strong, like, and I'm not saying in terms of actual power. I'm saying in terms of presentation. We have no reason to believe that you're going to be this dominant force when we all know Rhea is probably going to beat you. So, wasn't too excited about all that stuff. I wanted to see Seth Rollins. I wanted to see that World Heavyweight Championship match in Cleveland. We didn't get that. I was pissed.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
Vince changed it at the last minute, didn't he?
Yeah, it's like he knew I was there and he saw my previous, my Snapchat stories on our previous episodes and was like, "Fuck him." I'm
surprised you didn't sneak backstage and batter Vince yourself. Or was he backstage, or was he sending stuff remotely?
I think he was backstage, but that's what I'm saying, bro. When I was walking into the show, I wasn't really that excited because it's like Raw hasn't really had any crazy storylines that SmackDown has had. Because unfortunately, what we said was going to happen came to happen. That Raw after Mania, that Brock feud was just to get Cody away from Roman. Brock is nowhere to be found. We have no reason to suspect Brock is going to come back and continue this feud with Cody. Dominic Mysterio is probably going to lose. Maybe Brock attacks Cody in between that match. I don't know. But what I'm saying is there isn't anything of intrigue or of interest on Raw outside of Seth Rollins, in my humble opinion, and the tag team champions, of course, for me to be like, I want to watch that. Like before WrestleMania, I was white hot on Cody. Now I'm heartbroken because it's like he's never going to be champion. He's not beating Roman. Jey Uso is going to beat Roman. He's going to get those titles. It's going to be a family business thing. So Cody is screwed. You know what I'm saying? And maybe he wins the World Heavyweight Championship, but he's never going to complete that story.
No.
And they had an opportunity to make a super mega babyface, and he is, but it's more because of like circumstance. There's nobody else.
Yeah.
If there was another babyface that was dominant and badass and whoop people and didn't lose all the time, they'd be the champion. And that's currently what's happening right now. And his name is Seth freaking Rollins.
The best
there's somebody
in the world at the moment, Seth Rollins.
There's somebody doing what Cody Rhodes does, but better and more entertaining. So as long as Seth this title, Cody's never getting that championship. Maybe he wins.
I see Finn maybe beating Seth, maybe not this weekend, but maybe further down the line, then maybe Cody beats Finn.
So that's what I'm saying. Connecting back to Raw, there wasn't a lot of high profile matches on the card. I wasn't really super excited for, but just being there and experiencing Monday Night Raw, it's always a great time. But the crowd was so into everything. And bro, we were cussing at Dom. We were saying, "Fuck you, Dom. Dom's a pussy." To see Cody Rhodes, Sami Zayn, and Kevin Owens in a match together, that's awesome. That's great.
Against Imperium as well. All right.
No, that was against Judgment Day. That was against Finn. Yeah.
Who was Imperium against them?
Honestly, I forget.
Oh no, it was Ludwig, wasn't it? It was Ludwig versus Riddle.
Yes, I believe.
Yes, that's what it was.
I
Yeah.
don't even know, dude. I don't even know. I was there.
Because
But, like,
Sammy and Kevin keep crossing between feuding with Judgment Day and feuding with Imperium.
mhm.
Like
And
every week.
I think, and that's what I'm saying. Like, if you want Raw to be so to answer your question, I had a great time at Raw. It was fantastic. The crowd was absolutely electric. You know, great crowd. But the match itself, the actual stuff on the card wasn't great. Like, I ended up having a great time because of the people, not necessarily because of the matches or the main event. If that makes sense. That's why I wasn't super like posting on it and stuff, because it was a fun time to go to. But to me, it's like I've been to better Raws. I've been to better SmackDowns. But I think you can change that if the Judgment Day get their hands on that gold. I think Raw has an opportunity. Like, Seth Rollins should not retain. I want Seth to retain. I want him to be a multiple world heavyweight champion. But for this story and for Raw to somehow, some way compete with SmackDown right now, Finn Balor has to win the title, and Damian Priest needs to cash in on Finn to win the title.
Oh, that's good. That is good.
That is your money. That is your money maker right there for Monday Night Raw. That is what needs to happen. Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor versus Damian Priest. That's a Judgment Day thing. That's a Judgment Day. Dom and Rhea can do their own thing with Cody.
Yeah,
they can do their own thing. But like, that is a money. And then imagine if Seth beats like both of them to like win
it back
or something like that. Yeah, like, I'm telling you,
that
don't
Damian
waste
versus
division.
Finn is the match to make. Like
Mhm.
that would be brilliant.
Mm-hmm. Raw needs something desperate. They need something desperate. Seth has to lose that title.
It's a shame it's
Yes.
gonna be like after only 30 days, but
He can get it back.
Yeah,
he can get it back, but he not now. Like, maybe in a, if he gets it back, it needs to show that he is the champion on Raw. So it has to be dominant. I would love to see Gunther versus Seth for the title. That would be cool.
I'd have that at Mania next year, and I've gone to win the Rumble. Then Seth has the title back by that point, or maybe it carries on from now. You know, who knows? But I've gone to beat Seth for the world title at Mania after winning the Rumble.
Yeah, that'd be good. But then Seth has to. So what I'm saying is, something needs to happen with the Judgment Day. Enough. Like, they need to have that charisma. They need to have that legendary story, like the Bloodline did. Like, hating Dom is not enough at this point for me. It's fun to boo Dom, but it's not enough for a compelling story, and they need that. And I think the compelling story here: Finn beats Seth, Damian Priest cashes in on him, and wins. The only exception, it would screw Raw, but dang it, I don't care, because you know who I'm talking about. It's L.A. Knight. Yeah. If he wins the briefcase, dude, I'll be okay. I'll be okay with Raw being mid, in my opinion, in terms of storyline. I'll be okay with that. Because
he can cash in any title, so he could start showing up on Raw teasing it.
Yeah. Like,
but another person who could win it, who I actually wouldn't mind. Everyone else is probably gonna hate this, but Logan Paul. I don't think it's a bad decision to give him the briefcase. Hear me out, okay?
Okay.
Okay. So he gets more people like watching him per week than the number of people that watch Monday Night Raw. Like in the United States live. If you give him the briefcase, it gets so many more eyes on the product of a certain demographic that would never watch it before. So it brings so many more people to wrestling. He'd be going all around the world, doing all his podcasts, doing all his videos, holding the Money in the Bank briefcase. And that's something that I kind of want to see.
But would he have a compelling story? Would he have a compelling feud?
I don't know. I don't think it matters so much though. I think the interesting bit, the bit that's gonna get people gripped, is like the fact that people hate him so much. Like they're playing into that. Him going around the world saying this briefcase means I can become WWE champion whenever I want. Do you know what I mean? So everyone's like, oh, he could be the top champion in WWE whenever he wants. I might start paying attention to it. And
So
then
then who?
But then,
How,
having failed a cash in.
I was gonna ask that. How would you book that?
Yeah, having cash in on, I say he holds it till, he holds it for quite a while to, maximize the potential of it. He cashes in maybe during the title match between Mania and Money in the Bank next year, or maybe at Mania. Obviously not main event of Mania because that'd be daft. But then he just gets absolutely destroyed after getting in some of his high flying moves. But you'd like to think if they do that, the people that they've brought to the product will stay. That's the only sort of jeopardy is, will those people stay with the product?
It depends on how you book Logan. If he actually has a character that people want to watch in day in and day out for, that has nothing to do with his YouTube branding, then I don't see why not.
Yeah.
But I think like WWE is in a weird place right now because Vince is making decision after decision behind the doors, and Triple H is looking like an idiot. Even though I think WWE is doing great right now.
They're doing better numbers than they've ever done before in most markets.
But he made a promise to the wrestlers. That's the thing. He made a promise to the wrestlers. It was going to be him, and it's Vince instead. So they have to find a way. I know Brian Alvarez said that there was going to be a meeting over the weekend to address Vince's SmackDown changes or whatever. However they went, I really hope Vince and or Nick Khan and Triple H told Vince, like, listen, man, like, you had your time.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see, because the bloodline, like, I do feel more confident that Roman is going to lose the titles, but he's still going to be the main event of the show. He's going to open the show. He's going to stop the show. His character is going to be everywhere. He doesn't need the title for that. So, and my vision of WWE is a WWE where he isn't forced everywhere. I'm just not a big Roman guy. That's never happening though. So I'm at the expectation of, well, how can we then make the Roman stuff fresh? And Jey Uso has to beat him, and he has to whoop his ass. He needs to bully Roman in that match for it to mean anything. If it is inevitably Jey Uso versus Roman Reigns at SummerSlam, it can't just be a super kick 1 2. Like, Jey Uso has to bully him. He has to talk his shit in that match. He needs to verbally and mentally eviscerate Roman and then pin him to make all those years of payoff make it work.
He has to mentally beat him as well as like physically beat him. Yeah.
But then again, Jey Uso might be the great ending for that story, but is he the great beginning for a champion?
Oh, no, I don't think so.
Like, is Jey Uso main event Jey Uso really WWE World Heavyweight Champion material? Hell no.
No.
I don't think so.
No, I don't know. Maybe he could handle it. Maybe him having the title as a way of getting Solo to be world champion. Maybe Solo could down the line beat him, because I think Solo's world champion material.
I think he's more world champion material than Jey Uso.
Yeah, definitely.
But I mean, I don't want to disrespect Jey though. I mean, if Kofi got a championship, Jey absolutely does. I just hope, hey man, if Jey Uso gets the title, I hope he proves me wrong. I'm not trying to. I don't want to be a hater on him. I just don't see it. But I'd love to see if Randy Orton came back as a heel and started attacking the Usos, who are now babyface, for payback for what they did to Randy and Riddle when they were heels.
Oh, that would be interesting.
That would be a way that keeps the characters organic, flips the table on itself, and now Jey Uso's in a situation where it's like, damn, I did create this, but I'm also not that guy anymore. A Jey Uso versus Randy Orton heated rivalry, if Randy can still wrestle.
Oh my God.
Yeah, a Jey Uso versus maybe Gunther loses an Intercontinental title. Or no, he's on Raw. Forget it. A Jey Uso versus an LA Knight.
Mm.
What if LA Knight cashes in on Jey Uso to win? And now Jey Uso,
that's not bad.
and then Jey Uso is Daniel Bryan and LA Knight, and a couple of his cronies are the Authority. You know, like
Yeah.
that would make sense. Like Jey Uso defeated Roman Reigns, the most abusive person in his life, only to lose to LA Knight. Like you know, like
I do
that would
want
be-
to see LA Knight as a face though.
I feel like LA Knight and Jey Uso would be a megastar versus megastar. I think it would be two faces who, you know, they're heel and face on circumstance, but they're faces to us. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot that they could do, bro. There's a lot.
Well, before we wrap things up, I've got a message that I'd like to say to idiot comic book fans on Twitter.
Nice.
Retake. Before we wrap things up, I've got a message that I want to say to idiot comic book fans on Twitter. So, news came out that Invincible Season 2 will be doing sort of multiversal shenanigans.
I already know where you're going with this.
And people are like, they're just following the typical multiverse route that all comic book things are following nowadays. No, they're not. They did this in the comics over 15 years ago. They did it before Marvel got involved in all this shit. And they do it better than any other multiverse story because they actually do it to further the story of the main character and to do new things and exciting things and interesting things. And it sets up for one of my favourite comic book arcs and one of the best comic book arcs ever. So do your research. Don't tweet without, you know, knowing what you're tweeting about first, dickhead. Yeah, sorry, I just had to get that out.
Hey, real quick, will we see? Because you already know there's going to be people who are going to be asking this. Will we see Spider-Man and Invincible Season 2?
Well, I don't have it to hand, but yeah, the team up issue, the team up comic. I think we might, because I remember seeing something about Amazon having some sort of deal with Sony for Spider-Man TV rights. I don't know if that's for Spider-Man himself or for like sort of, you know, the wider characters, because the Silk spin-off show was meant to be on Amazon.
And Spider-Man Noir as well.
Yeah, so I do think there is a possibility, because it's at Amazon, that we might see that. Well, it'll definitely be hinted to, 100%, because they got away with it in the comics with, you know, before they did the team up, with the little hint that they did. So I think we'll definitely get at least a hint, and because they're at the same studio, it is likely.
I hope it's more comedic than it is serious, though. Like,
it shouldn't be. Yeah, it shouldn't be serious.
Yeah, I want Mark to like be like, "What is your suit?" and you see Spider-Man or something like that. I don't know. Maybe bring back Josh Keaton to voice him or something like that.
Yeah. 100%. He's the best Spider-Man voice actor. There is, now you mention that, there is a bit in the comics where, like, I think Mark says to him, "Wait, so you got bit by a spider, so you just called yourself Spider-Man?" Like, that's rubbish.
Yeah,
and then like Spider-Man says, "What's your name?" He says, "Invincible."
And Spider-Man's like,
"Yeah."
No, I love that, man. I love that. I love Invincible, man. I still say it. I think maybe the only comic book series, in my opinion, that maybe beats it is Saga, and that's another fellow Image story. Like, but no, I love Invincible, man. I love Invincible, and yeah, we just needed to let you guys know multiverse is not just Marvel. Marvel just got late to the game. Invincible's been doing multiverse.
Invincible did it the best, as they do everything, as it does everything the best. Invincible. The thing is with Invincible, it makes you think it'll do sort of a traditional comic trope, but maybe it will, but it'll do it in a way you haven't seen. But then sometimes it'll make you think it's going down one route, then it'll completely take you off in another direction, and you're like, "Holy shit, this is the best thing ever."
I know. Okay, real quick to end the show, because there's going to be idiot people who don't know anything about Invincible. Are we going to see Conquest in season 2?
I think we won't see the Conquest sort of arc, like the couple issues arc that like really shakes everything up, I think that'll be season 3. That might be how season 3 ends possibly, but we'll see him. I think, yeah, I think we'll see him somehow, but
Okay.
we won't see him as destructive best in this season, but we'll get introduced to him at least.
So Blue Suit Mark is coming, just not anytime soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, man. This has been a good talk, man. Guys, let us know if you guys like some of these conversations more, where we just kind of have a general abstract conversation, and from that, more topics kind of are birthed from that. I like that model a lot better. It also makes like editing social media stuff a lot easier.
Yeah, and
because
it's a way for us to catch up a bit easier as well.
Yeah,
Just catch up on record.
Yeah, bro. So yeah, I mean, let us know if you guys want to, you guys want this style versus just talking about something specific in our reviews, but rather our more thoughts about just general abstract storytelling stuff that we see in storytelling today throughout medium. Great conversations, man. But with that, we're going to let you guys go. Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of the Invincibles podcast. You already know who I am. I'm Zan.
I'm Oli.
And for one last time, we
are
the
Invincibles.
Take care, guys.
A few moments later.
This is real. This is real. We're getting our new Superman is officially David Corn Sweat, and our Lois Lane is Rachel Brosnahan. I apologize for messing up your last name.
Right after we finish recording.
Yeah, this is tough, but my initial thoughts, it really doesn't matter who's the actor. What matters is, can they tell a compelling story with their acting, right? Like, that's really the point, right? When Tom Holland was first announced as Spider-Man, like, it was more like, can he do Peter Parker justice? So if David Corn Sweat can do justice by Clark Kent, I'm all for it. Now, that's going to sound hypocritical, because then people are going to say, well, Henry Cavill, you didn't give him a chance. No, I gave him a chance. Like, I think he could have been a good Superman if he had the script for it. But that was never going to happen under Zack Edgy Snyder, so it's all good. We're here now. Superman, a legacy away from that dark side. Bruce, Lois is the key, all that garbage. We're getting brand new DC. We're getting brand new Superman. We're getting brand new everything. I hope Rachel Brosnahan, Emma Mackey was my pick for Lois Lane.
Yeah, me too.
But, hey, if she can do the job, I mean, hey, I'm always for giving, people the opportunity to wow me. There isn't really much I can say other than the fact that it's pretty dope. We're getting a new Superman movie. I just hope David Corn Sweat embodies everything of what it means to be Clark Kent, to be the most powerful person on the planet, and also the most humble, the most loving.
He's definitely got the look, hasn't he? Like, visually, he looks like Superman.
Like, bro, when we're watching the Superman movie, I want to cry because of how warm it makes me feel inside. That is what it's supposed to do. And also, unrelated, I really hope we see Superman with Crypto. I want to see Superman Crypto action sequences. Like, Crypto lasering a robot, and then he throws Superman, and Superman is like flying. Like, that'd be so dope.
And what I love as well is, sorry, just before you say that, when first time we see Crypto, we see like a remix of the old school theme tune from the show.
Dude, I would love that. Is what's his face playing Lex Luthor?
Oh, have they announced that as well?
Bill Scott.